Hello and welcome to yet another episode of FPL Escapades. My name is Kshitij and today I'm joined by Anand and Suryansh. You remember Suryansh, he was with us in the Game Week 1 preview where we had the entire team of FPL Escapades on board. Suryansh takes care of our Instagram account and we are more than happy to have him on board yet again on this podcast. Welcome Suryansh. How has FPL been treating you after the first game week, and were you also caught up in the wild card, the train that has been going on?
First of all, what's up, guys? FPL could have been better, to be honest. The first game week, the second game week were quite a disaster. The third game week was quite a savior. But the first two game weeks were a shocker. I've never faced such results, unexpected results, and it was a disaster. And coming to the wild card, yes, I have successfully wasted my wild card for the first half of the season.
Yeah, that
How's it been for you guys?
that makes the two of us, dude. I did play my wild card on game week 3 as well. Ended up with a mere 34 points with Jimenez and Saez giving me a royal score of 0, with West Ham being the menace that they certainly sometimes do be, beating Wolves 4-0. Anand, did you fare well after, sort of wasting your wild card in game week 2 and not really getting the results that you wanted? Was game week 3 better for you?
Let's not even go there. I removed Rashford and Wilson in game week 3, and they combined a total of 15 points. On top of that, I took a -4 as well. So that's a combined 20 points lost. I got in Zaha and I got in Jimenez. So overall, I scored 49. And yeah, I mean, a disappointing game week nonetheless. Thankfully, Bruno for me clicked. He was the captain in my team, and yeah, other than Bruno and Bamford, none of them scored in my team yet.
Yeah, so it's very safe to say that all the three of us had a really nasty game week 3, wherein a total of 36 goals were scored, taking the total goals scored in the entire league to 101. But they somehow seem to be scoring all the wrong players, scoring from an FPL perspective
Yeah.
as well. Game week 3 is not did not really go in anyone's favor. There are approximately more than a million wild cards that have been used over the first 3 game weeks, majority in game week 3, and also 400k in game week 2 as well. I think majority of the people were well off not using their wild card this game week. So yeah, definitely not the start that we wanted, but that is how FPL goes. So yeah, with that, I think it's time for us to get back to our routine and then jump again to the essentials and going forward into game week 4. So as always, we have 3 sections: essentials, differentials, and cheapies. We start off with the essentials, wherein I see a name, the last year's Golden Boot winner, Jamie Vardy. Some people call him lucky. Some people call him a Premier League legend. He's already scored 5 goals in 3 games, courtesy, I think, 4 penalties already. So very lucky on that front. But yeah, definitely Leicester do look really nice when they play. Beating City 5-2 is definitely a feat in itself. And, Pep Guardiola, I love looking at the facial expressions, man, when his team is behind. I mean, that just brings a smile to my face. And talking about City, Raheem Sterling, I did get him in place of KDB, given his sort of essential differential with ownership of 6.1%. I still plan to keep him in my team. There are definitely returns written all over either KDB or Sterling. I am actually a little worried considering what KDB ownership is at 43.1, almost the second or third highest owned player in the all of FPL. So that is a gamble, but that is something that I'm willing to take. Sterling might be my captain going into next week, but there's one thing that they play Leeds away, so not really sure as to what I really want to do. And coming on to Robertson, thankfully, the saving grace again, last game of the week, Robertson scoring a goal for me, giving me 10 points with 2 bonus, nothing like that. I had almost, cried myself a river before the last game when Liverpool played Arsenal, but thankfully he saved the day for me. Patricio, from the keeper's perspective, I personally feel that he has a certain good run of fixtures coming up, but that still remains to be seen. I'm very happy with my goalkeeper choice of Martinez and McCarthy, who's Martinez, as we've established before already, that he's the new pope of this season with 2 clean sheets and a penalty save already. So Suryansh, after you've played your wild card, what are your thoughts going into forward game weeks? Are you fairly happy with your team, or would you look forward to take a minus hit on transfers?
On paper, really happy because I have a strike force of Martial and Werner. All of us know how that's been playing this season. So perhaps, yes, I'll join the Jimenez bandwagon this week with a good run of fixtures coming in, and that one own goal and that one-off Wolves performance. I don't think that should, deter managers in going for Jimenez. He will score goals, and the current given fixtures, if not now, I don't know when. So it's very safe to say that Jimenez is a very safe and a good pick if some managers are looking to replace Werner and Martial, like myself. I can, replace both them strikers with the names that are here in Ings and Jimenez, as I already own Jamie Vardy. So that will be a dream forward line for me. So let's see. Coming to Mane, after you discussed Sterling, I guess Mane is the best player in the Premier League. For me, I absolutely agree with Fabregas when he says Mane is the best player in the league. 3 goals. He's on form now. He's competing with Salah again. Both of them, if I'm not wrong, have 3 goals each. So there's this competition within the team that, that's always good to see for managers, gets the best out of players. So Mane is, I think, an essential that has to be there in every team. His stats show that also. And with an ownership of, less than 12%, I think I'm quite surprised with such less ownership of Mane. Coming to the defenders, Castane, has been a standout performer this season. Personally, I did not think that he will hit the ground running like he has. But 3 assists, a goal, bagging 4 points against City tells a lot. If you do it against the best teams, it gives managers confidence in getting the player in. A very good shout, and I guess his price also has been increased to 5.7. So it's a very good time for him to come back because I see the price only rising from here. It's not going to go down. And as for the keepers, I will select any defense over Arsenal's defense. So for me, Patricio is a good shout. And for me personally, how I go about keepers is I don't really trust the fixtures when it comes to keepers or the defense, as a matter of fact. The West Ham and the Wolves game was a good example of that. And this is the EPL. So in terms of keepers, I rely more on save points, penalty saves. So yeah, Patricio is a very good shout. What's your say on that, Anand? What do you think?
I think you guys have just mentioned all the great essentials for the last game week and probably going forward in the other game weeks as well. I feel that these players are going to perform. I just wanted to add a little bit on Ings, where I personally feel that his finishing is really clinical, and he faces West Brom up next. Expecting Ings to score once again because you can't just doubt this guy. Last season he was 6 million and he just rose to around 7.5 or 6 by the end of the season. That's a huge jump. And this season as well, he's already scored thrice. He's also on penalties. So I think Ings could be a great pick going in game week 4. Apart from that, I think KDB is a set and forget guy, right? And
Absolutely.
he's on penalties as well. And this last game week, we saw 20 penalties earned out of the 30 matches played in the Premier League. Now that's a huge, that's like a staggering record. And out of 20, 18 were scored. And I think given the number of penalties that teams are conceding, thanks to VAR or the change in law of handballs, his creativity is top notch as well. So you should expect him to be in points, and especially playing against Leeds, who attacking wise are good, but defensively there are question marks on them. Regarding defenders, I think Trent last game week we all saw that Trent got the highest bonus points as well in that match against Arsenal, and he is finally coming to his own terms. He was the best defender last season, at least in terms of attacking returns, and that is what we look at while playing FPL. And I think Trent will continue to do that. Although it's a tricky fixture against Aston Villa, they look pretty solid so far. In fact, after post lockdown, and that is why they were not relegated. Even if the Villa are strong at the back, Trent will keep on finding those deliveries that he has in him. Just finishing off with a little bit on Vardy and Mane. So guys, there's a huge difference, and these players are poles apart. Okay. Now, in terms of non-penalty XG plus XA, Mane is ranked number second in the Premier League, just behind Harry Kane. And while Vardy is ranked 174. I mean, just take out the penalties and we don't see the same Vardy. Given how it's going, how Castagna is playing, I think maybe from now onwards, because he's already scored 5, Vardy can keep his goal scoring form going.
Yeah, definitely. And Vardy's, as you rightly pointed out, non-penalty XG plus XA is only 0.09. That is might
That's
look
shocking.
surprising to actually a lot of people, including myself. But again, out of his 5 goals, 4 have been penalties. So yeah, we can give him that. And definitely, he's won the Golden Boot last year as well. So he knows how to score those goals. So definitely, if you have Vardy in your team, I think it's worthwhile to stick to him given the run of fixtures that Leicester have upcoming as well. Not really easy, but not really tough as well. Kind of a well balanced lineup. So, with that, we move on to our next section for differentials now, wherein we look at uh, forwards and midfielders and defenders with ownership of less than 5%. And here, I think Mope had a really good outing last game week, scoring 3, assisting 1. But out of these 3, I don't really own anybody. I instead, once I have to make a place for myself as a third forward, I generally try to look for a cheapie. But having said that, Mahrez, on the other hand, was the only one from the City squad to give any substantial returns last week. And shout out to one of my friends, Kushagra, who told me or suggested me against going Foden and rather getting Mahrez into my team. But unfortunately, I did not listen to him and ended up with only a couple of points rather than Mahrez's 12. So, but yeah, that's the name of the game. Semedo hasn't really played, might start playing. Is a real good punt. Looking at his price, he's a little expensive for me at this point in time because I haven't really seen him play in the Premier League, and as we all know, people do take a little time to adjust to the Premier League when they come from any other league. For me, I think I would like to keep an eye on Semedo, given that I already have size from Wolves defense. But yeah, Anand, Arsenal also have a good run of fixtures coming up. So do you fancy Bellerin or from the defense or some anybody else?
Yeah, I think Bellerin has a really good fixture against Sheffield as well. And Sheffield has been struggling. Egan is out because of a red card, and last week their star defender O'Connell got injured as well. So they're struggling at the back, and Bellerin might enjoy a lot of wing play. And the way Arteta has set up his team, he might do well. Although he was not so great in the last match against Liverpool, but they are the defending champions, so probably one off day can be expected out of the player. Coming back to the midfielders, Barnes, one bit that is missing from Barnes is his finishing skills. I think finishing wise, he's not up to the mark, but we can't deny the fact that he is getting into those positions and he is really running the channels for Leicester. So if Rogers can tweak that bit in him, like for example, I don't know if Kshitij, you remember this or not, but we were discussing about Bamford with Jim, and the point that we discussed was that Bamford gets a lot of chances, but he's not converting them. But then we again spoke, what if Bielsa tweaks his finishing, and probably he's done some bit because Bamford is scoring goals. And similarly, if
Yeah.
if, if Rogers can do something with Barnes, I think Barnes is a really good player. The way Leicester is playing and the way he's playing, he can benefit from that. Leicester is playing West Ham, and West Ham has a really bad defensive record themselves. Although they beat Wolves 4-0, came as a surprise to all of us. But Fredericks got injured. Their main right back got injured last match, and we can count on Barnes to probably do something against them. Regarding strikers, I think I would like to speak about Wood. I think Wood has been impressive ever since he's joined the Premier League from Championships. I think he's done really well. Also, he seems to be like the main outlet for Burnley. Also, he's on penalties. In this podcast, all we can just keep quiet and just talk about who the penalty takers are. But yeah, given how many penalties are being given at this stage, he's playing against Newcastle again. Their defensive woes continues. Newcastle, you never know which team they're going to turn up on that particular day. Will they shut their shop or are they going to attack? I'm assuming Newcastle playing at home will try to attack and gives more advantage to Wood.
Definitely looks like it. And yeah, as you said, rightly pointed out about Barnes as well, I myself am a little confused between him and Zaha, given that I have the budget for both. So yeah, but Suryansh, what are your thoughts about any differential picks that you are looking forward to?
In terms of strikers, I really like Mope. I've seen him play. Also against United, he's always a menace for defenders. He's always, making them runs in the right positions at the right time. So, with 3 goals, assists, and if I'm not wrong, he's on penalties as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
Mope is a very good pick for, personally, I'd look into Mope. Also partnering with him up top has been Trossard this season. So Trossard, I'm a huge fan of this little player. Last season, also he managed to start, or if I'm not wrong, he managed to start 22 games, and there's this really crazy stat that I came across that even after starting 22 games, he contributed to almost 45% of Brighton's goals last season. So this season, we've seen him play, and I've been really impressed. So yeah, Trossard is somebody I would like to keep in my team, just for the fact that he, partners Mope up top at times during games. So that is pretty encouraging. And in terms of the defenders, I like to talk about the best fullback in Merseyside, Seamus Coleman. Um, you know, he's a proper leader, as Ancelotti pointed out this week. So given that Digne is a little expensive, having Coleman in your team, like he showed the last game week, giving an assist to DCL, can be a very good shout. If I'm not wrong, Anand, the differential shout was Coleman last week when we had a talk. So yeah, it's for me Coleman, Trossard, and Mope are the differentials that I'd like to go with.
But with differentials, you never really know as to, it might be their day, it might not be. But definitely, when you look at the likes of Mope, who are on penalty duties, does make them a really juicy target for FPL managers as well. And I just like to point out about Shea Adams. My FPL curse has apparently begun. I took him out of my team, and he instantly started giving returns in the form of an assist. But thankfully, his ownership was only 2.4. That was my saving grace. But
I guess Shea Adams was the only player that was due to give any returns to faithful FPL managers. I mean, there's so many teams having Shea Adams as, GP, third striker, and he's, to be frank, he's got in very good positions. He's got very good chances, missed one-on-ones.
on that note, there are almost 400,000 FPL managers who've gotten rid of Timo Werner. I plan on sticking with him, hopefully, so that he starts giving me returns, because I'm fairly certain that as soon as I let him go off my team, he might just go out and score a hat trick. So that is how the FPL plays with me and my emotions. But yeah, with that, differentials are tricky business, tricky players to choose from. One week they might explode, or the other week they might not. Some players are a boon or a bane of FPL. That comes as our next section, which is the cheapies, wherein we look at players who are fairly below 6 and 5 million pounds respectively, wherein again Bamford, it's the story all over again what I had with Ings in last season after Project Restart, where I called him out that he'll not be scoring any more goals, that his form was done. And shout out to FPL Jim, who actually, as Anand pointed out, told us that should Bamford's finishing improve even just a little bit, you can expect him to give a lot of returns. He's risen zero point 0.3. He started at 5.5, now at 5.8. I have been missing. I'm already missed out on that train. I went for Mitrovic instead of Bamford, but kind of, he's slowly and steadily started becoming the essential cheapie to have as your third striker, and definitely offers many more returns, say in the next couple of game weeks. Might not be in the next game week, given that Leeds play Manchester City, but you never know.
that is what we thought when Leeds played Liverpool in the first game.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with Leeds assets, I mean, there is no telling what they might bring to the table and how explosive that they might be on at their day. And with that, coming to Podence, unfortunately, again got him in my team after playing a wild card. A royal score of 0 again, but definitely looking at his stats and looking at his goal creation action per 90 of 2.18, which is one of the highest in the league right now. And his also price rising slowly and surely certainty to start in the playing 11 definitely makes a lot of sense to keep him in the team, and definitely he can explode in the coming game week given the run of fixtures that Wolves have right now. With the defenders, I'm still sticking with Justin with his one goal, one assist, and one clean sheet. He's also giving me some returns on the basis of his price, so at least that my team value is increasing out of everything. But yeah, definitely a player to look out for. And McCarthy is my second keeper along with Martinez, who I plan to play again him in my playing 11 next week, given that he faces West Brom. A little scared that West Brom again, hit three past Chelsea. But Suryansh, what do you think about any other cheap asset that we might have overlooked here or from the list?
So in terms of forwards, personally, I don't play with a I don't play with a cheapy striker. I prefer to have a strong forward line. Having said that, Bamford is really causing me some really big selection worries. It's pretty stupid to ignore his contributions to the very fast-paced Leeds team. Be that assists or goals, his quality. I mean, the assists that he gave were in itself were very good to see, good to watch from a neutral's point of view. So Bamford is a striker that I have my eyes on, and like you said, the price is going up like every game week. So that's the ownership. That those are some things that you cannot ignore in the long run. Another Leeds player, another Leeds midfielder, Click. I've been following this player, and I really like this player. Feels like the heart of this Leeds team, and he goes forward, he intercepts, assists, scores. Like you can see, he's already got 2 goals and assists. And I remember him making a crucial tackles also in the midfield. So he's a complete player for Leeds. Also on the trending topic, takes penalties. So for whosoever is interested in that, that's a pointer to keep in mind. And coming to defenders, like to talk about Walker Peters. I have him in my team. I've had him for 2 game weeks now. Has rewarded me with an assist and a clean sheet. So no complaints. Really good going forward. Not so while defending, but the main reason why I got Walker Peters in the team was, to complement the aerial threat that Shea Adam possesses. Mainly that, and plus he's quite bombing going forward. In terms of keepers, I also am playing McCarthy. So yeah, that's a Saints double up on the back line, which doesn't sound very comforting to me right now. But yeah, that's how my team lines up.
Given that they're also playing West Brom, kind of definitely tingles you in the stomach, but
Yeah,
definitely
it
good.
can it can it can go both ways. I mean, I can end up with 4 points. I can end up with 15.
Anand, what are your takes on the cheap?
Basically, what I feel is, I think you guys have covered up with the best players. So I think I'll start with the defense, where I wanted Lamptey to be a cheapie. But
Baller.
then again, I feel that against Everton, he might end up losing his clean sheet. So
Mhm.
Maitland-Niles is a really good pick for this game week. Like we mentioned before as well, he's having a good run of fixture and playing Sheffield, just like Bellerin did. So, and Maitland-Niles plays a little bit ahead in the rank, so he could be a good pick. Although he's a little bit rotation, he has some rotation problem. Maybe Saka comes in next match, so that is a bit of a risk over there. But if he starts, I think he's like a good pick. Apart from that, I think Armstrong is one guy who was top of the FPL community before the FPL season kick started. But sadly, he got injured, and that is why a lot of teams did not, bring Armstrong in. But against West Brom, who are, it's too early to call them whipping boys, but you know, as of now, it's a little bit, the way the way they are defending is a bit of a shocker as of now. They were leading 3-0 and they conceded three against Chelsea. And before that, let's not even go there, what they did against Everton. So, I do have faith in Bilic, their manager, but uh, I don't know. It's very, very difficult right now to think that they are not going to concede any goal. I'm saying that despite having Johnston as my FPL keeper.
Keeper.
So Armstrong, I personally feel can be amongst the points this game week. And one good lad over here in the strikers section is Delap. So Delap is the son of Rory Delap.
Long throw-ins.
Famous, the famous long throw-ins. So Delap, we all know that Jesus Aguero both are injured, out injured for long. And against Leeds, what if Guardiola starts him? He came in as a sub in the last match against Leicester, so could be because Guardiola will be really angry with his team. The way they lost 5-2. Although usually Guardiola doesn't show his frustration on the camera and rather, always appreciates his team. But deep inside, he should be concerned a little bit because what Leicester did, defending it at the back, he would need a proper target man to hold up the play. And with City, I see Delap playing a game or two here and there, and maybe he could be the one who starts against Leeds, and he could be amongst the points as well. I think that's the overall big guys.
No,
Connolly is someone.
that's a very good point that you make on DLAP. I was just thinking that when has Man City been as explosive as they are when they're not starting with a particular or a specific striker? I can only recall the time they scored 3 passes in 30 minutes last season. I guess it was the semi-final of the
Yeah, Carabao.
for Carabao. Yeah, the first leg, and we were blown over in the tie. Although we won at the
KDB
Etihad.
played.
Yeah, so
KDB
that
played
is
for false nine.
false nine along with Bernardo Silva. So that
Yeah.
is the only one game that I think that City have been as dangerous when they've not played a striker. And given the last game, conceding 5, scoring 2, that is a little hurts the ego. I mean, I'm sure Pep is hurt. And like
Yeah.
Anand says, we won't be surprised if he does something this crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely looked hurt as well. I mean, that was a sight to behold as a United fan. But definitely, like, if City lose a game that way, they're definitely, we all know what they're capable of coming back to the next game week and bouncing back. They might as easily, hit
Absolutely.
past 5 again against any other opposition as well.
Mhm.
And with that, we finally come to the end of the GPs as well. So we've covered our FPL assets going into game week 4. And this next section is where we actually look at the points predictor for penalty takers, the hot topic that has been going on for game week 4 as predicted by Fumi. So here we see that Jimenez projected as getting the highest score in game week 4 given his royal outing of 0 points last game week against West Ham. But we definitely know how West Ham can be. They do get irritating sometimes, and then don't let oppositions walk over them so easily. But yeah, and also with that, I also feel that Leicester, I think, might not have that an easy road going into next week. Suryansh, which would be your captain pick for game week 4, who is a penalty taker?
In terms of FPL and in the game FPL, if I think like a manager, I'd go with Jimenez. It's a no-brainer. As we just spoke about Pep and him being upset, I'm sure Nuno is as upset as well. I mean, Wolves have established themselves as a team that have been challenging the top 6, and such a defeat is not very good to take. And bouncing back, I am hoping that they bounce back. So yeah, for me, Jimenez is my pick. And just to boil some piss, I'd take Bruno Fernandes because of the comments made by our ex-manager. It'll be very nice to see Bruno Fernandes celebrate a penalty in front of our ex-manager. So yeah.
Great points, great points. Anand, who are you going with as your penalty taker captain for game week 4?
I think it's going to be between De Bruyne, Jimenez, and Ings, given the fixtures they have. But I think De Bruyne seems to be the safer pick. Always, the set and forget guy. So I think, yeah, he seems to be the safest pick. Although Fumni has given him really low points this game week. They have given him just 4.3 projected points. So they are not expecting him to probably get on a penalty. But I think De Bruyne is the set and forget guy, yeah, for me.
Yeah, okay, that is interesting. This coming from the FPL manager who captained Bruno Fernandes last game week and got returned points after the full-time whistle. That was a spectacle on its
That
own.
that is the first, yeah.
That was the
So
first,
what?
definitely.
Who do you think Kshitij though?
I personally, I'm definitely going with Jimenez. You cannot, like Suryan said, you cannot keep a team like Wolves down for very long, and Nuno himself would be very pissed at Wolves. And given that they're playing Fulham, who've lost all the three games that they've played, they can still score, but we all know that they will definitely concede. Hopefully that they do concede, and my FPL season finally starts. Running again. So that is what I'm hoping. Might either go with Jimenez or, if I'm like batshit crazy, might end up captaining Sterling against the Leeds as well, even though he's not taking a penalty. So yeah, that's that. With that, we come to the end of another episode wherein the FPL has been the game that we all know it to be. Not really going our way, at least not really going mine and Suryansh's way for sure. We def
Absolutely.
Anand. Okay,
Me too.
you can say me too, and you can raise your hands. We all know that you've had
Yeah,
a
that's just
good game.
modesty beyond.
That's just being modest.
Come on, guys! I just had 45 points. What's modesty in that?
That is like still 11 more than what I had, but yeah, we'll definitely.
And just to make you lot feel better, I've had 10 points from 3 game weeks from my captains combined. That's 4, 4, and 2.
I've been
I
lucky.
think captaincy is a
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
pretty
you
lucky
know.
thing.
yeah, I've been lucky in the first game week to captain Salah when he scored the hat trick. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, I there are a lot of memes floating around on social media as well, wherein somebody played triple captain Jimenez and ended up getting 0 points and 7 points on a wild card. So we are definitely way better than that.
Could have been worse, boys.
Yeah, we hope our listeners and supporters have had better game weeks than us lot. And thank you so much, all of our listeners, for your continuous support. Please go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The link for the Discord channel is in the description. With that, we'd like to take a leave. I hope we've been able to provide you with some insights and values going into game week 4. It's been a pleasure. I hope you had a good one. And as always, may the arrows be green. Thank you, boys.